When it comes to enacting a culture change to reduce euthanasia rates, we don't know what that will look like, as the city hasn't released any plans for reducing euthanasia rates. But here's a look at where we currently stand compared to similar communities. Now, this graph shows save rates. In other words, the percentage of animals that were not euthanized from city shelters of Lubbock, Odessa, Midland over the last 3 years. So you can see Lubbock in just 3 years was able to go all the way from 60% to 98% of saving those animals. In Odessa, in just 3 years, they went from 40% to 71%. But when you look over here at Midland, they were hovering in that 60% range for the last 3 years. A little bit of improvement, a little bit of decline. So what makes Lubbock so capable of making these changes? Well, let's take a look.
Make no mistake, the city of Lubbock's animal shelter was once a far cry from the model of success it represents today. Just take it from Stephen Green, who's been with the shelter for 7 years and now serves as the program's director.
When I started, we put animals down for space. After 3 days, the majority of our animals were euthanized.
Shelter jobs are never easy work. Terminally sick and aggressive animals will always have to be put down. But the Lubbock Animal Shelter is setting an example that with change, outside resources, and support, a trip to the shelter for adoptable animals doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Our changes began in early 2018, and we had about a 30% save rate. We had a very low adoption rate. We didn't have any kind of transport program, any kind of medical program, and so we installed all of those, and our current save rate is around 99%.
This ideal is what caught the attention of Midland County resident and founder of Fix West Texas, Karen Patterson, and inspired her to visit with her team.
If she could bring some people up here and just kind of see our facility, figure out how we have made the changes, and see if they could take anything from what our experience is and take it back to Midland and Odessa and make a difference.
For Karen, the message was clear. She's in line with the city that responsible pet ownership is key to this issue, but says there has to be more leadership-driven solutions from the city within its own department and leaders.
We can start a social change. But you're right, we have to have goals and we have to have direction.
A sentiment reinforced by Lubbock's leadership.
You have to have a strong staff. You have to have staff that believes in your vision and your goals. You need to set goals, whether it's starting a surgical suite like we did or achieving a high adoption rate like we have.
Now, according to the city's community services director, Tina Jows, those kind of efforts are already taking place.
As a city, we're always looking to evolve and grow, and you have to examine what you're doing periodically to make sure that it's the best fit for your community.
But if we take a look back at Midland's euthanasia rates over the last 3 years, no real progress has been measured, which Jows contributes to the community's lack of participation in helping the city address this problem.
Responsible pet ownership is of our main concern. And until the mindset of our community changes to a more responsible pet ownership, it'll be tough to move forward in a lot of directions.
But for those in the trenches outside of city departments, they're looking for leadership in their public officials.
It's the same lines said over and over and over. And to me, it's passing the buck.
And hoping they'll be open to new solutions, like a cat program that fixes feral cats and places them back in the community at barns and warehouses to maintain rodent control. A program that has seen success in Lubbock and on a smaller scale, right out of Karen Patterson's own garage.
We can lower our numbers 40% just overnight if we just stop killing the cats.
Now, to be clear, getting to a no-kill shelter status doesn't mean that animals will never be euthanized. The standard of a no-kill shelter is that less than 10% of all animals that come through the doors are put down. That means working with more rescues and fosters, both local and out of the region. It's not something that can be done overnight, but as evidenced by other communities' measurables, progress can happen with the right strategy. Will that change take place here in Midland? Well, Crystal, only time will tell.